Hi everyone, this is Helen.
And I'm Sina.
We're from Oakville Trafalgar High School, and today we're going to present the impact of noisy on plants' roots hydroturbulences. So plants, together with animals, are the two major components of living beings on Earth. Plants are rooted in one place and do not move on their own. Therefore, they are thought to be senseless and motionless when comparing to animals. We know very few about the sensation of plants, and that part of study was largely under discovery.
In 2019, Australia scientist Monica Alagiano led an experiment on bean roots' ability to persuasive sound and locate water. They plant beans in an upside-down Y-shaped cup and circulate water around one of the sides. Their experiment proves that the plant roots could discern the surface of flowing water and grow toward it. But the results of the rest of their experiment were not ideal. They found out that plants do not like record sounds, as all the experiments involving recording sound were unanalyzable.
Galliano's experiments largely inspired us, and we constructed our experiment based on their success and failure. We have retained their experiment, and on top of that, we're going to use real water circulation for the whole times and noisy interference is added in our experiment.
So the purpose of this experiment is to find out whether the extension of noise will affect the beanroot's hydroturbulen activity, and further understand the effect of sound pollution in plants.
So we infer that if the noisy affect the bean's root in the process of hydroturbulency, then its roots will grow randomly all around the container. This is because of the superposition of sounds where the noisy and flowing water integrate into a new kind of sound waves, which the plants cannot recognize, thus the roots have no direction and will grow randomly. And for the experiment, we created Y-shaped cup by cutting and gluing two plastic cups together. And we wrap one side of the Y cup with plastic tube that will later connected to water pump.
So we're gonna need two white cups, and one for control group, another one for experimental group. Put the white soil in it, and put 2 to 3 beans in the pot. Treat the side A with a water pump that connects with the plastic tube, and that's it for the control group. And turn on a noisemaker above the experimental group, and wait for 2 weeks. Then carefully dig it out without breaking the rules, and record the result.
And here are some pictures we take during our experiment. And as for the result, we named the result by WG control group with water flowing only and NG experimental group with noisy and water flows. So WG1 evidently inclined towards side 8 while water sound is present, where NG1 grows towards side B. And for NG2, it has its roots grown spread all around, which we identified it as unintentional in growing. And the result of this experiment shows that our hypothesis is correct. Noisy can affect plants' roots in the process of hydroturbulency. It can be clearly seen in WG1 that plants without the presence of noisy can discern the source of water sounds, with all of its primarily growing towards side Z, which is shown in figure 1. Whereas the plants in the experimental group, NG1's roots directed towards side B and NG2 roots have no inclination. We believe this happened is because the plants only favored a specific range of sound, the sound of water. When noise is present, the two sound waves superpositioned. New sound wave was created. The new sound wave was outside of the range where the plants favored, so the roots cannot discern the sound of water and just grow randomly.
The biggest issue of our experiment is the lack of experimental data. Due to some supply issue and time management, we do not have enough time to do more trials for the experiment. Lack of supporting data means that our results were not very reliable. If there's more time, we would be more confident with our results. Another defect of the experiment is that our experimental experiment it was not really rigorous. This experiment was taking place during the winter, and we are doing it at home. This means that there are many uncontrollable factors considerational with, such as the temperature, the amount of sunlight, and the humidity. Finally, this type of experimentation is performed on bean-like plants. Different species of plants may respond differently, so our experiment can only represent the response of bean species on the sound of water.
We believe that our experiment is significant, so not very reliable. The experiment proved that noisy doesn't have a negative effect on planets. If a similar situation occurs on the forest, this can cause plants to fail to determine the location of water source, resulting in poor growth and even death. And all kinds of human activities, such as logging or industries, could have distributed to the cause. That is, noisy not only affect animals, but plants as well.
In conclusion, the hypothesis was correct. Noise does affect the plant's process of hydrotropism. The experiment shows that plants cannot judge the water source in the presence of noise. This result could further imply the impact of noise on plants in a real life, like forests or in cities. This experiment is not perfect due to the lack of experimental data. It can be completed by a better environment, but in general, it shows the effect of noise on plant too.
And we would like to thank all of those generous help we received during the experiment and the insightful advice. Without them, our experiments will not be possible. And that is the end of the presentation.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.